Well, tonight, fierce backlash greets NPP's National Executive Council's proposal to elect the party's flag bearer before its national executives, a move it insists will fill an apparent leadership vacuum in reorganizing the leadership of the largest opposition party.
Sure. So what the campaign is here? Who could you flag bearer this time? There are 88,917 human settlements in Ghana.
Well, we'll bring you details as the leadership of the party justifies decision to set presidential primaries for January 31 next year.
By the end of 2028.
Then one man, one vote.
One vote in a day. It's mere possible, but then the database where your membership drive no ye or more party ID cards what mania or more betray juice no yet mania. It's a bread so bar winning members of good standing, and that's our database no.
We have all the details here on Top Story, always brought to you by Telecel Connecting Energies. Well, the opposition New Patriotic Party's decision to elect the presidential candidate of the party before its national executives elections has been met with stiff opposition barely 24 hours after that particular announcement. The National Executive Council yesterday scheduled the party's presidential primaries for January 31, 2026, signaling an early start to its preparations for the 2028 general elections. Now, the decision follows a recommendation by the party's 9-member Constitutional Review Committee chaired by lawyer Frank Davis, which had proposed amending the party's constitution to allow for earlier presidential primaries. Take a listen to the General Secretary of the NPP, Justin Kojo Frimpong, talk about it.
Spoke about the time for our presidential primaries. And again, the committee agreed that that decision does not warrant amendment of our constitution. But in light of the spirit and letter of Article 13 of the NPP constitution, that power is closed with National Council to make that decision. And National Council today also made the decision that the date for our presidential primaries is set for January 31st. 2026.
So that is General Secretary Justin Kojo Frimpong. Now, he further revealed that the NEC has decided to hold its National Delegates Conference this year on July 19, with Planning Committee chaired by former First Speaker of Parliament Joseph Osei-Wusu, as it hopes to amend its constitution.
Because there's going to be a proposal or a motion for amendment for our constitution, a committee, or what we refer to as a planning committee, has been put in place by National Council to prepare and also implement directive that has been given to them for us to have a successful delegate conference to amend our constitution, the provision that has to be amended. And chairman for the committee is Honorable Joseph Osei-Wusu, former Member of Parliament for Bekwai, as chairman. Henry Nanabuache, the national organizer, is the vice chairman for the committee. Honorable Jerry Ahmed, second deputy whip, minority whip, is also a member of the committee.
So that is the General Secretary there making an announcement and explaining further who will be leading the organization of the National Delegate Congress. There now, my colleague Bapani actually joins me in studio with a statement issued by the MPP explaining the rationale behind the decision they took at that particular NEC meeting yesterday. Bapani, what are the details of this particular statement?
So, Brace, first of all, we know that the Frank Davis-led Constitutional Amendments Committee submitted a compilation of the amendment proposals it received from party members and identifiable groups to the General Secretary for onward circulation to regional and constituency secretaries of the party, in line with Article 19B of the NPP's constitution ahead of the delegates conference. Now, the committee also, we know, that presented their report to the National Council, where the committee recommended to the National Council to fix an early date for the conduct of presidential primaries based on the overwhelming proposals from the party members and extensive stakeholder engagements they held. So this is from the Frank Davis Constitutional Amendments Committee, where they thought that there was enough momentum on the ground or demands from the ground, at least from the people. Not an early
primaries to elect the
flag-bearer of the party. So in the understanding, after the deliberations, the understanding of the National Council, which was eventually they tilted towards or gravitated towards that decision, that they adopted the decision and thought that there was a leadership vacuum, they thought, and that this proposal will help them cure that. If you look at the statement, it says that after extensive deliberations, National Council overwhelmingly adopted the committee's report, particularly the aspect relating to the presidential primaries, which was strongly argued. Again, these are the words. You hear that it definitely tells that there was an argument at the National Council level, and to the best approach they thought will be to urgently fill what they said the apparent leadership vacuum in the party's reorganization drive. And they thought that this vacuum can only be cured by what they said to fix an early date for the conduct of the presidential primaries. And they thought if they did that, then that vacuum will vanish and will help them ultimately brace, as we know now, what we've been trying to do in the last couple of months, reorganization drive that has suffered, we know, quite a number of setbacks and some of comments that haven't gone well for them and all of that in some of the regions they've been to. So they feel that as a National Council, an early date or having a flag bearer, somebody lead the party, focal person that everybody listens, speaks to and takes orders from, it may help to solve this particular challenge that they have. And not forgetting that this reorganization has had its own challenges, particularly because of the individuals that were leading it. Not forgetting, we've seen Dr. Baumia, we've seen Kennedy Japan and some other individuals that people have said them, they didn't augur well for all of them, but they think if this decision goes through, then it will help to do that.
But even before the rank and file of the party, as you heard Papani explain, that the committee engaged with a lot of stakeholders, and they thought that there was groundswell agreement that let's have an early primaries to elect our flag bearer. But even before the rank and file of the party welcomes the decision of early presidential primaries, some key party stalwarts have been criticizing the move, describing it as poorly thought through. Boakye Jakon is former presidential aspirant of the NPP. He's been speaking on Kumasi-based radio station with regards to this particular announcement.
Why na osidanya oye roof no ansa no abe foundation? Why no osidanya oye roof ansa no abe foundation? Em se agronwa na either ebinom ntiase ana ebinom de pesemun kumunya any diffudi baby person almost chiri niyama she wa mu botoma na wa mu moto o ada na wo koyi flag bearer ansana where you form for there media eye 7 prediasa total nonsense 7 prediasa show so what the campaign asia what your campaign asepa who koyi flag bearer this time e dey akohefa there are 88,917 human settlements in Ghana. The woman say when you flag bearer ne say onchi oma pro any Ghana for kasa in all these community human settlements obey me 10 years and san what me ayenina but say 210,000 executives from polling station to say the we obetimi the 88,917 communities no obetimi amanipa 2 bia akọ wonase and within 1 week what covered the whole country. Party no na year turn first and foremost and sana presidential candidate in there wabefwaso. There is no way one person can win an election for any political party. Na kamia yese omo ben nipa no voters no woman ye ni woman no woman won kokesa. So and me a polling station in what Tendugua polling stations no me no woman shase nin komo ebi nkono duru baabi a ne yi electoral area for constituency for no more beka ho ne ye adwuma.
Well, Papani, so that's Sebuachi Ejakoda. He's, has aspired for the flag bearership before. That's what he's saying. Can you transcribe a bit for me?
Yes, yes. So what he says are in two strands. First of all, he says on face value this decision, in his words, and he said that in English, is nonsense. And his explanation is that the person that you are voting for is not the party. Only comes to support the party to win an election. So therefore, focal person, you hear him use some of those words, cannot necessarily win the party on his own. He felt that it should be the other way, which is the second point he makes, that the party should rather be built from ground up, where you have the executives at the various districts elected first, then we build that to the national, so that the people at the grass who can do all the conversation and movement throughout the entire country. Because if you are comparing one flag bearer to the over 200,000 executives that they may have as a party, then clearly the executives should have priority and should come first, and we should start the reorganization from down there up. He thinks that this approach, in his words again, is pure nonsense.
All right, this Stop Sorry is always brought to you by Telecel Connecting Energies. Let me bring in Kwesi Kwating, he's spokesperson for the Kennedy Japan team. Also, Dennis Miracles Abuaje is aide to Dr. Baumia, the 2024 flag bearer of the NPP. Good evening, gentlemen. I'm grateful to you for joining us. Let me start with you, Kwesi Kwating. I mean, I've read a comment from some quarters, some agreeing, some disagreeing. We've heard the committee say that, there was groundswell agreement or proposal from the grassroots that there should be an early presidential primaries. Where do you stand on this?
Well, good evening to you and your listeners, and good evening to my brother Dennis on the line. Let me state that this decision is a decision of the National Council and NEC. And as we all know, the National Council derives its authority from the constitution of the party. And so it is not out of place when the National Council brings such calendar or voting or election schedule. We, on the face value, respect every decision of the National Council as a team, except to say that recall the General Secretary just issued an update to that effect. It just came in some few hours ago. The team has taken notice of it. As of now, what I can say is that the team will make an official position on the matter. But I must reiterate that the Honorable Kennedy Japan and his team will not do anything that ultraviates the stated principle of the party, which includes unity, restructuring, rebuilding for us to capture power in 2028. So at the right time, we are going to communicate our position and stance to the good people of Ghana and the MPP as a party.
If you say now, if you say on the face value, does it mean that when you go into details, you sort of disagree with this?
I do not want to be in the position to prejudice the collective decision of the team. Even as I speak with you, I am aware that they've taken notice and they are having a discussion on same. We do not want to rush in making decisions, but I must also add that it is a council decision. We are mindful of that. We are also mindful that the council, obviously, we derive its authority from the constitution, made that decision. and in due course, we will communicate our stance.
But if you look at your party's constitution article, if you look at the one that talks about the election of the presidential candidate, it says the election of the party's presidential candidate shall be held not later than 24 months from the date of the national election. The date and venue for the election shall be decided by the National Council, provided, however, that the National Council may, on appropriate occasion, vary the date. So this is the National Council taking the decision. Should we expect that when you go into details, we may have some disagreement coming from the camp?
Well, if I make a point that we are going to make our position on it, the expectation may not necessarily be a disagreement. We could even come out affirming the position of the National Council, especially when I've given a premise that we respect the decision of the party. We will always abide by the decision of the party. We are law-abiding party members, and we will do everything that will put the good image of the party in a good light. And so I do not want to run ahead of the gun. I assure you that in due time, very soon, you are going to hear from us the position that we have on with regards to this. But recall that it is not only about the timing, but actually, as like you played even the audio of Mr. Jacob, there has been concerns and how people have reacted to in terms of the approach vis-a-vis the fact that this time around we may be considering a top-bottom approach. I am sure our decision and whatever reviews that we have and commentaries that we have will take into account all these conversations. But like I indicated, emphasis has to be made that everything that we will say, everything that we will do, every decision that the Kennedy Japan camp will take will be in the supreme interest of protecting the new patriotic party brand.
So we shouldn't take comment by elements that are believed to be associated with the camp as what the camp represents.
I mean, you are speaking to me, and I'm sure you called me based on a certain capacity that I will be able to communicate the intention and the position of the camp to Ghanaians. And I have indicated to you that in due course, you will hear from us officially, from a very official position. Of course, I mean, people may have their own individual views, despite the fact that they align or appeal to candidate A or candidate B. Their views may align or may be in sync with the candidate's position, and sometimes we may be in variance. But ultimately, when we issue a formal communique, it supersedes all other views, even though it may respect it. So we are also looking at, I mean, we are considering EU sentiments, engaging broadly, having proper consultation before we are able to communicate our position on it. But I mean, in overall, I'll reiterate again that every decision that we make will be in the supreme interest of the new patriotic party and Ghana as a whole.
But will you be prepared for the January 21, 2026 election?
Honorable Kennedy Japan is always prepared to have an election or go through the election process every day, every time. That I can assure you. You see, I always make a point that predominantly, if you look at the two leading candidates, Dr. Baumia has been in the scene for at least for about 16 years now, right? And when it comes to the Honorable Kennedy Japan from 92 up till now, as a founding member of the party, he has always been in the scene. I mean, these are people who do not need so much time to market themselves. But of course, I also have to admit that they may need time to also sell their message, especially looking at the political circumstances and the current dynamics. But I do not think time will be so much of constraint. We are ever ready. We are ever prepared to go through the clean and fair electoral processes. Ultimately, sovereignty resides with the people.
Okay.
Over 200,000 polling station executives that will decide. And those are the people that we are going to sell our message to them out of respect and decorum for them to make the decision of who leads the party. Ultimately, we'll come together as one party and move with one accord.
So you don't side with people who say that this decision has been made to favor one candidate?
I mean, people may have their opinion and factors that influences their opinion. But when you are speaking for a team, certainly you will not want to prejudice the position of the team. So I would urge all of us to wait for the official or formal position of the team, which, like I indicated, will be in the supreme interest of the
party.
New Patriotic Party.
All right, I'm grateful to you. Do stay with me. Let me bring in Dennis Miracles Abuaji. He's aide to Dr. Bawumia. Dennis, thanks for joining us here. I mean, people say that this is a decision that sort of favors your candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Is that how you see it? Or you feel, well, this is the National Council doing its job to try and fill a leadership vacuum of the MPP?
Well, Kojo, good evening to your listeners and good evening to Kwesi. I'm sure you are aware that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has been through this severally. And so for him, and it's not an issue of what favors or what goes against him. What is important is that the date has been set. He awaits the rules and regulations guiding the process, and let the debates begin. I mean, the National Council is the second highest decision-making body of our party, and the constitution of our party rightly grants them the rights to take such decisions. As of now, I have no idea which decision they have taken that favors or disfavors another. What I know is that we all have equal number of days to engage the good people of our party and give them clear-cut, cogent reasons why they need a leader like Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to take this party to the 2028 elections, not just for the New Patriotic Party, for this country as a whole.
But you've heard people like Mr. Boakye Ejako, who clearly disagrees with the decision by the National Council for setting the presidential primaries for 31st January 2026. Isn't it worrying that, I mean, you would have big wigs like him talking against it? This morning I spoke to Arthur Kennedy, who also disagrees with the decision by the National Council.
I don't remember the last time Dr. Arthur Kennedy agreed with anything regarding the MPP. So I think for his, I can disregard it. As for Honorable Boakye Ejako, I'm sure you agree that a party as big as the New Patriotic Party, even if we say a unanimous decision, it would not in any way mean that one or two people will not have dissenting views to it. And that is why these decisions are taken at that level. And that is why even at the National Council meeting, there are processes that we follow to arrive at a conclusion and at a decision. These processes were duly followed. Mr. Boakye Ejako, I believe, has been in several other National Council meetings where his views on other issues have also been carried, contrary to how others also felt. The most important thing is that about 98% of the members of the council took this decision, agreed to this decision. And so, of course, we still would have 1 or 2% who may feel that should we have used another approach would be better. I've read Mr. Boakye Ejako's article, and clearly they represent his views. These views may not necessarily be views that you would say do not hold water. But the other side, the other views also are very strong points. Remember that the idea behind the election on 31st January is purely based on the fact that the party believes it's important to have a leader as early as possible so we can rally the entire party around that leader and the leader's vision.
Okay.
We see this approach as the quickest way to reduce the tension, to reduce the bickering, to reduce all the noise that we currently have in our party. And having used the status quo for a very long time, anybody that has followed this party will agree that this approach is at least a new way for us to go to see how that would also turn out. I recall vividly after the 2012 elections, Mr. Boache Jakon, I remember at that time he was campaign manager for Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He was at that time proposing for an early election for the presidential candidates. Okay. I remember very, very well.
Okay. All right.
And at that time, there were people who also dissented and disagreed with him. Okay. And I think ultimately the decision of the majority carries. And so far, across the length and breadth, if you listen, you'd realize that the party people are very much excited and aligned with this decision by the National Council.
So you and your side, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, back the early election for January 31, 2026, right?
I mean, we back any decision by the National Council that inures to the interest of the party. And for this particular decision, we fully and firmly back it because we think it is the best to ensure that we keep the harmony and unity of the party and prepare very well for the 2028 elections. It is the best decision.
All right. I am grateful to you, Dennis. Let me bring in Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, Senior Lecturer, Political Department, University of Ghana. Doc, you've seen that, for quite some time, I think this will be the first time where the party wants to elect its flag bearer before it does the national executive, the constituency, and also the polling stations. What do you make of this arrangement?
Yeah, the party has spoken. But from where I sit, there are questions that linger on my mind. One is, which body is going to elect the flag bearer? Has the body been elected already, or you are going to use the old body?
Yeah, there are currently national executives and regional executives there now. Their tenure has not expired.
Okay. So, by that argument, you are saying that they qualify to elect whoever will be the flag bearer January 31st, 2026. If that argument is what you are saying, then I have no problem with that. But if the case is that you elect the flag bearer, then you go and look, get the executive also elected, then a little difficulty. But the crux of the matter is what you have touched upon, that by that time they have not, their tenure have not expired. Then they are good to go. Yeah. So once that is cleared, I'm not sure there is a problem. All that I have is that if you listen to the General Secretary and then those you've spoken to, one of the benefits of such exercise is that if they are able to get a flag bearer, they all rally behind and it will build a unity. That is true. But they should not lose sight on the fact that if there are lingering problems, they will deal with that alongside. But of course, that question, if you straight the conversation, becomes moot because the party in going for the general election of 2028, definitely all problems that exist, they want to deal with that.
I'm grateful to you, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. This has been Top Story, brought to you by Telecel Connecting Energies. Up next is Newsnight.
In the next 60 minutes here on Newsnight, President John Mahama sparks fresh debate on the controversial constitutional provision as he announces the next batch of MMDCEs may be elected.
Drive time on Joy.
So you may be the last dinosaurs who are appointed. Those who succeed you might have to go through elections.
We'll bring you details as a special review committee is currently engaging key stakeholders to outline the path towards electing MMDCEs. Also tonight, majority and minority clash on vetting committee over allegations of interference, intimidation and threats of political payback in future vetting proceedings.
What is happening is not good, Mr. Chairman. When we talk, it's like we are sharing your power. Let's stop it. It's not good for the country. It's not good for our image as parliament. And I protest.
I cannot be intimidated by you. I'm a man with indomitable spirit. The nominee will not answer this question again.
Details from the vetting committee, where the Supreme Court Justice nominee calls for amendment of Article 286 to prescribe sanctions for government appointees who fail to declare assets within the scheduled period. Also tonight, Education Ministry orders nationwide audit into feeding arrangements under the Free SHS program.
But it appears that at many levels, the quantities and quality of the food is just not good enough. Government is considering a reversal of the policy, but at least for perishables and others up to 40% of that provision will still be provided by the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary School.
In business, rating agency Fitch warns of possible downgrade for Ghana if the country shows signs of renewed liquidity pressures and a significant drop in international reserves.
You want to stay with us for all that plus sports or here on Newsnight. 055-1111-997 is a WhatsApp line you want to reach us on if you have a view on the stories you hear here on Newsnight. Feel free to do so. Details after this.
Small money day, big money day, where too much money day. Telecel Too Much Money promo drop. If you dial *500#, then join them for the Telecel Too Much Money promo inside. You will win 100 Ghana cedis cash for the daily draws, 20,000 Ghana cedis for the weekly draws, then 1.2 million Ghana cedis for the grand draw inside. That be 1.2 million Ghana cedis. You for just reload airtime, then get points where they make you win. Make you dial *500# or go the Telecel Play up top. Then book inside riders give the Telecel Too Much Money promo. Terms and conditions apply.
Telecel, connecting energies.
This promo will be NLA where they regulate them for the Caritas Lottery platform top.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. Me I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me dana mada with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Ghana Kron Kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Still unbeatable. Republic Bank has slashed the city mortgage interest rate to a new low. That means it's more affordable to own your dream home. You enjoy lower monthly installments, save on interest payments, flexible loan arrangements, and more. Make the move. Own your home at a lower teen interest rate. But hurry, this offer lasts for a limited time. Visit any Republic Bank branch or send email to myhome@republicghana.com or call Accra 054-0109-649. Kumasi 054-0109-901 to apply today and enjoy a teen interest rate. Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Uncle Wide is back with a masterpiece, Love on the Ropes. Get ready for an exciting roller coaster where love and trust go toe-to-toe in a dramatic showdown. Love on the Ropes shows at the National Theatre on June 27th, 28th and 29th and July 4th, 5th and 6th. Fridays at 7 p.m., Saturdays at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. and Sundays at 1 p.m., 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. From now to 22nd June, enjoy the early bird ticket offer for 250 Ghana cedis only. This offer is only on the Koba short code *365 *535 hash and the Rover app. The price of the tickets will revert to 300 Ghana cedis after the promotion. Call 05055 4601. Buy your early bird tickets for Love on the Ropes now. Sponsors: Gino Jollof Mix, Koba and Tilly's Tea. Communication partner: M Notify and Logistic Movers. Roverman Productions. Be the difference.
You're live on Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM. I will be sharing your thoughts with the rest of the world. Send me a WhatsApp message 05511111997. Now, President John Mahama has sparked fresh debate regarding a controversial constitutional provision that ensures that metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives are appointed instead of elected. Today, the president announced this may finally change with the election of MMDCEs. The matter of electing MMDCEs is long divided opinion in Ghana, with one side calling for partisan elections to ensure political accountability, while others insist the process should remain non-partisan to safeguard local development. Now, speaking at the Jubilee House to newly appointed MMDCEs, President Mahama revealed that a special review committee is currently engaging key stakeholders to outline the path to electing MMDCEs.
You may be the last batch of MMDCEs appointed. The National Review Committee is going round. I'm sure some of you would have been consulted, and it will present its recommendation in August this year. And one of the major items that has been canvassed is the election of DCs. There's no doubt that Ghanaians want their DCs elected, MMDCs elected. Several surveys have shown that they prefer to have your category of political officers elected. So you may be the last dinosaurs who are appointed. Those who succeed you might have to go through elections.
Let's bring in the Programs Officer of Center for Democratic Development, CDD, Paul Abrampa Mensah. Paul, thanks for your time here on Newsnight. I know, CDD, you've been at the heart of championing the amendment to the Constitution so we can elect our MMDCEs. What's your response to the President there? Very optimistic that the current Constitutional Review Committee's work may eventually lead to that outcome where we elect our MMDCEs.
Good evening, Vance, and let me say a very good evening to our listeners. I was happy when I heard it, but I held back my joy because this is not the first time we are hearing some of these promises. In fact, in 2019, we were almost there until the last minute press conference by the NDC to pull out of the process. And and when you pick manifestos for the two leading political parties in Ghana, since time immemorial, he has stated in there clearly. The only difference is the format that the two parties want to adopt. While the MPP wants to go partisan, the NDC doesn't want partisan. In fact, indeed, the current manifesto of the NDC, they have stated it clearly that they are going to elect. Yeah, so, and it conforms to the previous Constitutional Review report. It conforms to Afrobarometer data. So we are even worried and surprised that since they both have the intent to do it, they have a data to back that citizens actually want that, yet they are still not able to do it. So, I mean, I was happy when I heard it, but I held back my joy, as I said, until I see concrete actions leading to it.
I mean, but a lot has changed since the last time this went to it didn't go to referendum. You don't know what happened. Because at the time, the NDC, when the conversation began, was for it until it became apparent that the government of the day wanted it done on a partisan basis. The NDC at the time told the line of civil society when your survey said 71% of Ghanaians wanted this done on a non-partisan basis. That was the NDC's tone at the time. Considering that since then, this is the first time they're getting the chance to govern, we should be a bit more optimistic now, shouldn't we? That they
two things that I can say have tilted in favor of the MPP will be one, because they want it non-partisan. There is no need for a referendum, and therefore they wouldn't need so much support from the MPP to do it. And also having in mind that they have majority in parliament and they just need a clear majority to amend a non-partisan MMDC election. And two, they also, as I said, they also have the majority. So in case they want to go non-partisan, it will be very easy. And three, they have the support already from by data. According to data, they have the support already. And the support is also in favor, the direction they are taking, non-partisan elections. So I think in all dimensions, they have the odd in favor of them. What is left is when, how, and the will.
And the president puts all this on the Constitutional Review Committee, and one of your own chairs said, clearly, if they come forward with that same proposition, which we all assume they will, he appears from what he says that he will not have an option in the matter than to just put it to the members in Parliament to have the review done, or possibly go to referendum.
No. So if they go non-partisan, what demands a referendum is when the MPP wanted to add the two. One, election of the MMDC, taking the powers, appointed powers from president. And two, making it partisan, trying to take away the constitutional clause that says that no local government elections should be done on partisanship, which is an entrenched clause. Yeah, so if you go that tangent, then it means you need to remove the clause, which is an entrenched clause, that above partisan local governance or local government elections. But as it stands now, and when I read from the MDC manifesto, it is stated clearly that they will let MMDCs, but on non-partisan basis. Therefore, that clause, which is entrenched, and that demand referendum doesn't come to play at all. So just a simple majority in Parliament to get it passed.
Paul Abrampa, thank you very much. He is a programs manager at the CDD, joining us there on that very controversial matter that split hairs back in 2019. Let's stay with the issue of local governance for a second, because President John Mahama has tonight issued an ultimatum to the Metropolitan Municipal and District Chief Executives. Is a 1-month ultimatum to declare their assets, warning that failure to comply would attract sanctions. This comes after a similar directive, you remember, more than 2 months ago to all government appointees, backed by a threat of dismissal. Now, despite 2 deadlines and a token fine, some still defy that order and are yet to face the president's promised wrath. Now, Mahama is tightening the screws again, addressing newly appointed MMDCs in Accra. He stressed that this time, the deadline, if you fail to meet, you'll certainly face the sanctions.
We have taken steps to transfer the highest amount of funds in the history of the Fourth Republic to you from the District Assembly's Common Fund. As the Finance Minister told you, 80% of the District Assembly's Common Fund is coming directly to you. We expect you to ensure the judicious and transparent use of these resources. The funds must be utilized in the interest of our people and not for our creature comforts. The Auditor General and other anti-corruption institutions will be watching your work. And as I've said previously, if any of these institutions starts investigating you, you don't expect me to interfere on your behalf. In the meantime, I wish to remind you that you are among the office holders required to declare your assets. And so I expect that by July 15th, all of you would have declared your assets.
Well, as of April 17, 2025, over 50 government appointees had failed to declare their assets with the Auditor General. In response, President John Mahama imposed a 3-month salary penalty and gave them a new deadline of May 7.
On the 18th February 2025, I set a deadline of 31st March 2025 for all appointees who are taking office or being nominated at the time to declare their assets. An update provided by the Auditor General to my office indicates that some of you failed to meet that deadline. For all those who are appointed or nominated before 31st March 2025 and failed to meet the deadline, you are to forfeit 3 months of salary to be donated to the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, named after me, Mahama Cares, in addition to 1 month's salary that I've asked all appointees to donate to to the Mahama Cares Trust Fund. So it means that those who omitted to declare your assets by the date, you are paying 4 months' salary to Mahama Cares. However, if by close of day Wednesday, 7th May 2025, any of you still fails to declare your assets, count yourself automatically dismissed. The assets declaration regime is an important mechanism to check corruption and abuse of office, and it must be respected by all.
Well, according to investigations by the Fourth Estate, some still missed the extended deadline. I'm talking about the previous batch of appointees who were, they had to comply with the directive that was issued at the time. Let's bring in Associate Editor at the Fourth Estate, Seth Bokwe. He joins me on the phone right now, and he raises a fundamental question. They were also told that if you missed it again, count yourself dismissed. So have they been dismissed, and who are they precisely? Seth, grateful that you could join me. You filed, I believe, another Freedom of Information request. What did you get after this second deadline that was issued with the threat of immediate dismissal?
Hi, Mans. Good evening. Thank you for having me. Well, we still found that there were appointees who missed the May 7th deadline.
Who are these?
We have Mustafa Bande, who is the Deputy Director of Operations at the Presidency. We have Sheila Azim-Kaba, who is the Deputy Managing Director at the Consolidated Bank. We have Naomi Wolali-Kwesi. If I may give the exact date we did the declaration. So Mustafa Bande did his on May 12, 2025. Sheila Azim-Kaba did hers on May 15, 2025. Dr. Naomi Wolali-Kwesi, who is the managing director of the Consolidated Bank, did hers on May 14. Dr. Isaac Nimoy Thompson, who is the chairman of the National Development Planning Commission, on May 12, 2025. Mubarak Masaudi, who is the deputy director at the Ghana Maritime Authority, May 12, 2025. Yeah, basically that's it. 5 of them.
And the deadline was May 7.
May 7. Yes.
And per what the sound we just heard there from the president, if you missed that deadline, count yourself automatically dismissed. I wonder if you followed up to check if indeed they have been dismissed.
So far as we are concerned, they haven't been dismissed because we've seen them carrying out their official functions.
Well, thank you very much. That is Seth. Seth Bokwe is Associate Editor at the Fourth Estate, talking to us about what they had found. Thankfully, we can speak to Michael Boydi. He is joining us as an anti-corruption campaigner with the Ghana Integrity Initiative. Joins us via phone right now. Michael, I'm grateful that you joined us here on News Night. So we're just hearing there from Fourth Estate following the Freedom of Information request that it is still a number of the appointees still missed that initial deadline of May 7. Yes, they have declared their assets now, but the president was very clear that if you didn't do it by May 7, count yourself automatically dismissed. What's your reaction now to the fact that some of them still missed it? Should we then assume then that they shouldn't be in their jobs as we speak tonight?
Well, good evening to your listeners, and if you're on TV, good evening to your viewers. I think that I made this point when the first deadline was met, that if we are not resolute in decision making when you are in a high office, you set yourself up for a consistent non-compliance of your directives. And I decided to say that my fear had come to pass. I think that the president has a second opportunity to crack the whip. If the president does not crack the whip, I am afraid the president will lose the grip over or the authority over his own appointees. It is not about going after people, but it is about showing the light. It is about enforcing the laws of this country. If the first gentleman is not able to enforce the laws of this country, who else can? So I think that the president has now come face to face with reality, and Ghanaians are watching whether he will be able to demonstrate or he will be able to put action behind his words. One of the things that this country has suffered is that people in authorities' rhetorics are far more than the actions that they take. So this is there for us to see. The president has opportunity now to show us that he is a man of action, not of words.
I mean, bottom line, we wanted our appointees to declare their assets. They have now, I mean, but they did it beyond a certain deadline issued by their boss, the president. Considering that they have filed the assets, shouldn't we say, for example, that, well, we give you a pass now, but next time, go sin no more? Because fundamentally, they have declared their assets.
Well, you see, the Constitution set timelines. For instance, if DRA says that you need to file your tax within a certain period of time, failure of which you pay a penalty. When citizens go there after the deadline, they are not told that, well, what we wanted is that you pay your taxes or you file your account, and therefore, even if you came late, you are still going to do it, so go and say no more. No. So if the citizens go through this month in, month out, and suffer the penalties thereof, there is no justification for people holding high office to flout the law and do it as and when they choose to. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. It sets clear deadlines or clear timelines. Compliance is not about when you obey, but it is about obeying it at the required time.
I mean, the president today has issued another ultimatum to MMDCs. He swore them in today, asking them to declare their assets by a fixed date again. You think this particular episode undermines his authority with the MMDCs if he doesn't indeed ensure that those who failed even after the second deadline get dismissed as he himself promised?
Well, if the president does not enforce his own directive, there is no guarantee that on another level he will be able to enforce it. If he does that, then what he's doing is that he is setting different rules for different sets of people and another set of rules for another set of. He is undermining the equality before the law principle. So it is not for me to say whether he would be able to do it or not. He has to demonstrate it. So far, he hasn't demonstrated it, and there is no evidence to suggest that you can do things at a subnational level.
Thank you very much, Michael Boydi. He's a fundraising manager at the Ghana Integrity Initiative, and I will take your thoughts on this 055-1111-997 pretty shortly. Now, there seemed to be no end in sight for the recurring friction between chairman of the vetting committee in Parliament, Bernard Ahiafo, and his ranking member, Alexander Fanyomakin, who also happens to double as the minority leader, as both continue to clash over allegations of interference and intimidation. The two went head-to-head hard at each other again during the vetting of the Supreme Court nominee, Justice Hafizata Amelaboba. Following Majority Leader Mahama Yariga's interjection to do a follow-up to the Minority Leader's question as to whether or not President John Mahama got it wrong by imposing a salary sanction on appointees, as we've just been discussing, who failed to declare their assets by a set date that he himself, the President, prescribed. Now, this is what transpired.
Very well. But administratively, Chairman, this strategy by the majority, that they have their time. When it gets to my time, then I have follow-up. Anyway, I will yield to you. If you, Chairman, would want to allow these things, no problem. Follow up. And this, you think that you'll be distracting me. I don't.
Honourable members, I believe everybody must be treated equally, particularly the leaders. There are instances where the minority leader called for a follow-up question and has been granted the floor to ask a follow-up question. In all the vetting that we've carried out, the record can bear me out. So if the majority leader wants a follow-up question, I think it is in good faith that we ask him to do a follow-up question. Please, majority leader, you have the floor.
Well, this being the first time I'm speaking, let me join colleagues to congratulate my 1 year.
Mr. Chairman, let's be careful what we are doing. It's not good for democracy. If it's a follow-up, let me congratulate my 1 year. If it's a follow-up, you should go straight to the chairman. Don't be doing these things. So it may be politically convenient for you, but tomorrow it will hit us as a parliament.
I can just understand the minority leader this afternoon. Because if the person going to ask the follow-up question is now talking to the nominee for the first time, what is wrong?
But he would have the opportunity to ask his own substantive questions. He's already indicated to the deputy chair that he will take his turn after me. Please, let us not set a bad precedent. This is not the first time we are doing vetting. Let's stop this. You are the majority. You may not want to delve deeper. Allow us to do our work. What is happening is not good, Mr. Chairman. When we talk, it's like we are sharing your power. Let's stop it. It's not good for the country. It's not good for our image as parliament. And I protest. He says he's going to have his turn.
Honourable members, I do not think any rules of the House has been flouted. So I'll proceed to give the floor to the majority leader. Majority leader, you have the floor.
Let's bring in our parliamentary correspondent. James joins us right now. James, before this outburst, the minority leader raised some concerns even before he started the session as to the rules of engagement between himself and the majority leader. Tell us more.
Well, Evan, so when it was his turn to take the floor, the chairman, Bernard Ahiapo, had taken a short leave of the committee, and so at that point, the deputy chairman, Honorable Ricky Tegan, was the one presiding. And so when he yielded the floor to Afenyomakin, he indicated that the majority leader just walked in. And so per the convention, he speaks, and then the chairman and the deputy chairman and the chairman concludes the interrogation. And so he would want Mahama Yariga to take the floor before he takes his turn. That's the point he made in the again in the clip we just heard. And so from the start, it looks like they started on a shaky note before what happened. And then after that, he went on. So the issue he was seeking clarification on were in two parts. The first part was whether the president acting amounts to he usurping the powers of Straj and the Auditor General, who were supposed to prescribe some infraction, some sanctions when the appointees do not go according to Article 286 of the Constitution. And so the nominee says that she does not believe that there was any infraction. And then he reframed the question and asked again. Then the chairman of the committee, Bernard Ahiafo, who now comes back to take over the chairing of the proceedings, now says that he does not think that the nominee needs to answer the question because he provided the answer in a previous question, and so he just reframed the question and so ruled that the nominee should stay away from answering it, and then it led to another banter again.
Honorable Minority Leader, is it not the same question that you are coming back to ask? Same question has been asked and answers provided. So for me, it is the same question that you are rephrasing. So the answer, we ask another question, please.
Chairman, if you want to find a way to stop this vetting, I will yield to you. Stop what you are doing. The whole country is watching you. Stop what you are doing. Stop what you are doing. If you want us to fold up, I'm not here to debate with you. I'll fold, discharge her, let us go. If that's what you want to achieve, I've seen it all. This drama, but whatever precedent, if not 4 years, 12 years, 20 years, it will come back and haunt this house. No problem. If you are strategically planning that a Supreme Court nominee should not go through this thing, so be it. But this question is not out of order. I am putting a question. Please pay attention to my question. Pay attention to my question. Pay attention to the question I'm asking. I'm not asking the same question. I've done research. I've worked overnight. I left this parliament, my office at 12 a.m. Go back here at 6. I know what I am asking. I'm not saying the same thing. For the avoidance of doubt, I repeat my question. What are
Honorable, I have a short response.
Please respond.
The public is not only watching me, it's watching all of us. And the jury will be out there. I cannot be intimidated by you. I'm a man with indomitable spirit. I feel rude that a question has been asked. The nominee will not answer this question again. Pose another question.
How was this resolved?
Finally, the two sides came to a consensus, and the issue about whether there's been infraction by the president, Justice Maliboba believes that that cannot be the case, but she believes that there is a lacuna created by the Constitution which needs to be dealt with, especially when it is brought back to anyone files a court case on this to the Supreme Court. Ruling should set the grounds for how it should be observed moving forward.
Honorable Chair, as has been stated, that there is no punishment regime, then what it would mean is that there's a lacuna in the law, and that must be addressed.
My lady, there's a lacuna in the law, and that must be addressed. I agree with you, but just to avoid ambiguity, that lacuna, would you suggest a constitutional pathway to addressing same or an executive administrative directive?
I believe the solution would lie in having a comprehensive discussion or deliberation on how to proceed to address this.
Milord, may you expatiate a bit? I'm a bit at a loss, please.
Yes. What I have said is that it would need some deliberation on how this should proceed. For instance, presently we have the Constitutional Review Committee sitting. So if proposals are made to it on how to proceed, it can compile these proposals for the necessary action to be taken. So that is my position.
Very well. I agree that is one approach. What about the court itself taking the matter up to provide the guideline? Would you think that option also suffices?
option can only be considered when the matter is before the court.
Obviously.
And so the matter comes before the court. One cannot say whether it will be a case where constitutional interpretation would address this lacuna. So until the matter comes before the court, a dissemination of that cannot be made.
My lady, I agree with you on those two views you've expressed.
It appears
and
that at many levels, the quantities and quality...
That lacuna you've identified, it's only through a process brought before you that you can now determine and address that lacuna. And I agree with you. Your option 2, which is also very fair, is the fact that there is currently an ongoing constitutional review processes or hearings that citizens can point some of these as proposals for them. Now, would you also favor an administrative directive unsupported by law and at one's discretion to address this lacuna? Would you support that?
Insofar as there's a lacuna, it would mean that a decision taken is not contrary to the law if it's administrative. And so I would have no opposition or objection to that.
Interesting exchanges there in Parliament today before the Appointments Committee. So live your News 90, Sonjoy 99.7 FM. Still ahead right after business. Education Ministry orders nationwide audit into feeding arrangements under the free SHS program.
But it appears that at many levels, the quantities and quality of the food is just not good enough. Government is considering a reversal of the policy, but at least for perishables and others up to 40% of that provision will still be provided by the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary School.
You want to stay with us for that. And on the subject of the appointees who had failed to meet the president's second deadline, there is a note here from the Ghana Maritime Authority on the subject of their Deputy Director General, Mubarak Masawudu. He was cited by the Fourth Estate. Well, the Maritime Authority says that he was cited in error as having failed to declare his assets by the May deadline. And they make the point that it didn't apply to him because that deadline applied to appointees whose appointments were made before the March 31st deadline that was first issued. But his appointment was April 23rd. And that is a clarity that they are bringing to the issue. A few of your messages on that and others. And this from Comrade Issa in Boku says the MPP's decision to schedule the presidential primaries for January 31st, 2026 before the local level primaries is a challenge to Dr. Bawumia to justify the 61% he claimed in the 2023 primaries, he says. And Eunice from East Legon says, please ask if the government appointees who failed to declare assets forfeited their salaries and whether it was paid into the Mahama Cares as directed. And this also from Musa Abacha says the MPP clearly appears confused and disarray. The decision to rush into early Congress is nothing but a knee-jerk reaction. George Imalam says we understand the frustration of Minority Leader Honorable Alexander Fanyo Marking because he is no more the Majority Leader. And Prof in Tema says MPP has set itself to explode. Some people will elect a Flagbearer, but most of them will not survive their positions to lead the campaign. And George is here with business. Hello, George. What do you have in the headlines?
Well, Evans, the cabinet rating agency Fitch warns of possible downgrade for Ghana if the country shows signs of renewed liquidity pressures and significant drop in international reserves. And all pressure mounts on industries to reduce their prices after new Ghana statistical data showed that their input cost has been dropping significantly over the past months. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials. Cintas Tanks and Pepsodent, Herbal and Charcoal.
It's your day off and you end up looking after the baby while your wife goes off to work. You realize you have no idea how to change a diaper, so you video call your wife.
Hello, darling.
Yeah, hello. Hello.
Kojo, is everything all right?
Everything is not all right. I'm not seeing Topo. How do I change a baby's diaper, please?
Kojo. Okay, first, put the diaper.
The video call freezes. While you wait for the internet to catch up, the baby sprouts a fountain and wets the diaper. As you are getting a new one, your wife comes back online.
Kojo, no.
But I have to go and get a new diaper. What must I do next? I beg, quick.
Open the front of the diaper. It's the side that has...
Wow, look, the video freezes again. Abba.
By now, you know where the conversation is going. There's no buffering in real life, so why accept it from your internet connection? Get connected and experience ultra-fast internet to your home, powered by MTN Fiber Broadband. From the Internet Masters.
MTN, everywhere you go.
M&C Group is a leading investment holding company with expertise in minerals and food commodity trading, precious minerals refinery, real estate development, and logistics and energy. With individually registered companies, our headquarters is located in Accra, Ghana, with operational offices in Dubai, UAE, Hong Kong, and Guangzhou in China, Johannesburg in South Africa, Virginia in the USA, and Milan, Italy. We connect business markets and drive growth. Trust us to maximize value in every deal. Call us on 0302 551 917 or 0302 551 918 or send us an email mncgroup@mncgroupgh.com. MNC Group, totally reliant.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Cavity protection.
This advert is FDA approved.
Every mosquito study run away.
This advert is FDA approved.
You welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, ratings agency Fitch has warned that it could be forced to downgrade the country's credit readiness if Ghana shows signs of difficulty in paying its debts. Now, this concern was captured in its latest report on Ghana. There is more in this report.
Fitch, in its latest report, noted that even though the economy is showing signs of recovery, it will not hesitate to revise Ghana's ratings if it identifies certain issues. Fitch stated that this possible rate downgrade will be influenced by Ghana showing signs of difficulties in paying its debt. This may be due to renewed liquidity pressures. It states in the report that the agency will be closely monitoring Ghana's reserves because of its impact on settling its debt. Another area that Fitch will be monitoring for possible rate downgrade is whether Ghana could be facing some challenges in refinancing maturities that fall due, as well as delays or inability to reopen the domestic bond market. Fitch, in its latest assessment on Ghana, raised the country's credit readiness to B-, but with a stable outlook. This was due to the significant progress that Ghana made when it comes to restructuring its debt owed external creditors.
And that is a Business Desk report. Meanwhile, economist Professor Peter Kojo is asking government to exercise some fiscal discipline despite the improved investment grade and the country being classified as less risky when it comes to borrowing.
I think it gives comfort for investors. See Ghana's risk level as lower than what it used to be in, say, December, for instance. So this grading is expected. However, I need to caution, and as also Fitch cautioned, that our interest payments as a proportion of total revenue is about 26%, way above the threshold. So we should be cautious not to celebrate this and go out borrowing hugely from the capital market or any other source. But we should rather legislate debt ceiling and borrow responsibly, borrow and invest wisely to avoid any future debt issues.
And that is economist Professor Peter Kojo. Now, manufacturing firms may have little excuse not to reduce their prices of products and goods on the market. Now, this was after a new Ghana Statistical Service data showed that their input cost has dropped significantly up to the month of May this year, and even the lowest since November 2023. There is more.
This came to light after the Ghana Statistical Service released the producer price inflation for the month of May 2025. It actually measures the rate at which the price received by domestic producers for their goods and services rises or falls over a period. The data from the Ghana Statistical Service showed that the producer price inflation rate dropped by some significant margin to 10% for the month of May. For a month-on-month comparison, prices actually dropped for most of these manufacturing firms. For some, this fresh data raises a lot of questions why some industries and manufacturing firms are yet to reduce their prices or pass on these benefits to consumers, coming on the back of the cedi's sharp appreciation against the dollar, especially for those firms that source majority of their imports from outside.
And that is a Business Desk report. Now, Education Minister Haruna Idrisu has encouraged the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management Ghana to take the lead in driving efficiency and setting high professional standards in the public sector. He made the call during the 2025 Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management Conference.
What's the relationship between labor, human resource, and productivity? Today, social media and your phones, apart from becoming toxic source of misinformation, many of you in your enterprises, whether private or public, are spending man hours on your phones and not contributing to the productivity of your employers. That's not acceptable. That's standards. How my time? I'm not talking of those of you who are using the phone for purpose of running your entities and your businesses. But too much time is spent rather on that than contributing to the productivity of the enterprises and the industries that you are so appointed to contribute to.
Haruna Idrisu is the Education Minister. Now, Bank of Ghana has reiterated its commitment to supporting the digital transformation of the economy to aid financial inclusion. Now, speaking on behalf of the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, the launch of the Blue Node AI Cloud by Blue Space Ghana, Mr. Orekwa Sari, Deputy Director of the Financial Innovation Office, said that the central bank is fully aligned to an innovative economy.
This launch goes far beyond technology. It represents a strategic shift in how Ghana is preparing for the next generation of digital transformation, financial innovation, and data support. Enter a phase where data is becoming one of our most valuable national assets.
And Reku Asare is the Deputy Director at the FinTech and Innovation Office at the Bank of Ghana. Let's turn our attention to the stock market. If you are a holder of MTN shares, well, it was up by 2 pesos to close at 2 Ghana cedis, 99 pesos. The City General was also up by 2 pesos to close at 2 Ghana cedis. Total lost 2 pesos and is now worth 25 Ghana cedis. Now, if you had invested on the stock market from the beginning of the year to now, your value have gone up by more than 27%, far better than other investment instruments on the market. And that's all for business on Newsnight. And even as you're talking about investment grading,
yes.
On
the Fitch upgrade,
guys, and
it's a subject on PMS tonight. We're asking the question: the credit ratings rebound.
Yeah.
Ghana moves up. Can the momentum hold? It's a fundamental question we are asking tonight. And the panel is a very strong panel. In fact, we will have on the show exclusively the Fitch director for Middle East and Africa. He's joining us exclusively on PMS tonight, responsible for sovereign ratings. So this is the man and whom all
for the
guys
countries, so they have guys who work on the companies,
so
the countries.
Has the final say when they come to the report to say, publish it. The man himself is joining us. He is the director, the Fitch director, Middle East and Africa Sovereign Ratings at Fitch. Thomas Garu will be my guest on PMX. But he'll be joined by Professor Bokwe, Kojo Ponkruma as well. We're hoping that we get the finance minister, the ministry to also join us for a conversation. You know what they say about the finance minister, Ato Forcing? People say Ato is forcing. Or autonomics.
But for me, the critical question is about how we can improve, because still we are in a grade that some will say that it is still not good. You understand me? And if they are saying that because we've been able to restructure our debt, we are less risky or in a position to better meet our debt obligations, what else do we need to do as a country to get a better investment grade? And because of how that would impact on our cost of borrowing as a country.
And I found one thing fascinating. You see our analysis show that the B- that we are currently, the upgrade that they're giving us, is we've jumped at least 2 places. We didn't go through the various rankings until we got there. They skipped us almost 2 additional levels to that. What accounted for that? It tells you the level of confidence that they have, but also we're looking at long term. How do you grow this to B+, A?
But it was the major risk was our level of debt to creditors, and now that we've been able to restructure it, we are more in a better position now to honor our debt obligations going forward, and we have built enough reserves also as a country, and it means that we are in a better position to pay these creditors going forward.
You want to join us tonight for that conversation, and Ms. Barry here with the latest.
Events, big event that's also going to happen in Ghana is the West African Football Union Zone B Cup and the 20 Boys Cup. The competition has now been scheduled to take place from June 10 to the 23rd of that same month, next month, July 10 to 23rd, and it follows a recent postponement of the original schedule, which had been publicly detailed, and this was captured in a statement that was issued by WAFU B, urging all 7 member nations to make the necessary preparations to ensure the full participation in the rescheduled tournament. So the WAFU B Under 20 Boys Cup will take place in Ghana from June 10 to 23rd, and later tonight at 8:30 p.m. on Prime Sports we have an exclusive with Black Stars defender Baba Abdul Rahman, and he's been touching on a host of issues: his career with the Black Stars, his career in Greece, and also he's been talking about the state of our pitches, urging the government to do something to improve their condition.
I think it's time that I'm begging whoever is in charge to maybe just get a proper pitch for the national team. Sometimes it's a disgrace, you play against someone from a different country and then you go to the club level and then the first thing he sees and he tells you is, we thought Ghana was a big country and that look at your pitch, So it's kind of a disgrace to us, They can just dedicate one stadium for the national team use. I think it will help us a lot. It help everyone, from the young teams to the
Baba Abdul Rahman, we have an exclusive with him at 8:30 p.m. This and more he's been speaking about. Well, in 5 minutes' time, Real Madrid will play their first game against Al Hilal in the FIFA Club World Cup. Trent Alexander-Arnold is starting, and we'll see how they fare. Earlier, Manchester City defeated Morocco's Wydad Athletic by 2-0. And that's it, Evans. Real Madrid is in action tonight.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bao. Now, the Education Ministry has instructed and ordered an internal audit into the nationwide food distribution system for the senior high schools. Now, speaking during a press briefing of the Presidency, Education Minister Haruna Idrisu said consultations are underway to reverse the decentralized nature of the feeding program.
It's not our wish to reverse the decision, not our wish at all. In fact, we decentralized. And as I became minister working with Director General and Free Senior High School, from December till yesterday, we have sent the money directly for them to do the procurement. We've so far, 500 to 600 million have been released to them. At least I know 203 million, 208 million, another 100 million released to them. But we are not satisfied with the quantity and the quality of food. That is why we are re-engaging and we are repositioning to share in doing it. We are still at the consultative level, and where appropriate to reverse it, we'll reverse it. Ghana Education Service, together with CHARS, it was a pledge in the NDC manifesto to get this back to headmasters, bursars, and others to do it in order to keep the local economy going. But it appears that at many levels, the quantities and quality of the food is just not good enough. Government is considering a reversal of the policy, but at least for perishables and others up to 40% of that provision will still be provided by the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary School, whilst we get a rule for the Ghana buffer stock and then the Ghana Commodity Exchange to deal with grains and others. But for the present, what is important is timely, quality delivery. One evening, I'm not necessarily a WhatsApp person, so the president had to ask me for my WhatsApp, so I'm now on WhatsApp. So I went getting some WhatsApp to receive a poor quality gari and palm nut served by a school.
And that is the Education Minister. Now, let's stay with him because he is calling for a major rethink of Ghana's education priorities, shifting focus from secondary to foundational learning at the basic level. Now, at the launch of a children's book, Twin Trouble, Lost in Paris, by Lady Megan Amoa, the minister argued that continued investment in secondary education alone has failed to produce a skilled, innovative workforce the country needs. More in the following report.
Minister of Education Haruna Idrisu made a strong case for a shift in Ghana's educational priorities. Speaking at the launch of the book Twin Trouble, Lost in Paris in Accra, he indicated he is in talks with government to redirect focus toward foundational learning at the basic school level. He warns that without urgent reforms targeting the basic school level, the education sector risks further decline.
I have been advancing this argument before President Mahama that Ghana needs to change our posture on education in general. And for it to shift necessarily to supporting and investing in foundational learning. If we get it right at that age, we will get it right when they grow up. Not when you go and invest more in secondary education, less in basic education, and say you are doing well. You are not building a solid foundation.
The book, Twin Trouble, Lost in Paris, follows the story of two sisters navigating life's twists and turns. Lady Megan Amoa is the 10-year-old prodigy who authored the book.
So the reason this is my favorite part of the book is because it really shows the bond of the two sisters, that they're not just sisters, they have an emotional connection between them. To show that just when Karen was hiding under the Eiffel Tower, feeling sad, something pulled at her that Camilla wasn't okay. I love that part.
Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Nanaba Apiamfo believes the launch of the book serves as enough motivation in empowering women.
From Ghana to the world, there's so much that we have to offer the world, and I encourage you to do exactly that. You have the talent, you have the ability. So keep writing, Lady Megan, but don't forget where you come from. Be the African that speaks to the world from a uniquely African place with lessons that travel far. We are counting on you to show the world that Ghanaian stories, African stories, are rich, they are funny, they are deep, they are universal and unforgettable.
In attendance at the event were former Chief Executive of Anglo Gold Ashanti, Sir Sam Jonah, former Ambassador to India, Michael Okwe Jr., and Member of Parliament for Sekondi, Ejapa Mensah.
And that's it for News Nights tonight. You can catch all the details on myjoyonline.com. It's also going to be on Joy Prime. And guess who's here with me?
You don't have to guess too hard. It's Wednesday evening, so... I know. Hi, Evans. How are you?
Hello.
Everything good?
Everything. I like your spectacles.
I know. Roberts and Sons. Amazing.
Okay.
Yes,
I'm going to send them a bill.
You should. Okay, so last week we started with a soft life conversation. We had a very serious conversation about the soft life, the repercussions and all of that. Today we're having a lighter conversation on the soft life, maybe a more in-depth in the soft life viewpoint.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
You got that, right?
I didn't.
Well, okay, you have to listen to it.
Listen
for
find out.
it. Exactly.
Okay, yeah, stay.